Hello and welcome. My name is Jordan Gray, and this is my Positive Prime Professional Leader Certification presentation. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am and why I'm here, and then talk to you in detail about my understanding of Positive Prime. So I am a leader of change, or I consider myself that, and a teacher of oneness. I have studied oneness for 43 years now, and I know the subject very well. So I've been on this mission to help connect people and to build human potential because I believe that is the path of awakening toward building a new world for all of us, where there is peace, compassion, and an abundance of everything. In my studies, I have come to believe that we create our own reality. We create our own perception of what is. As a matter of fact, Wayne Dyer said it this way: you create your thoughts create your intentions, and your intentions create your reality. One day I was attending a training session with Dana Wilde, who is a brain trainer, and she had on a guest speaker named Kim Serafini. And oh my goodness, I've got to tell you, the light coming through this being, Kim Serafini, was just dazzling, and it was really hard to look away. And after just listening to her for a few minutes as she talked about Positive Prime, it was evident that this woman is intelligent, that she has goals, that she also has a plan to help other people be their very best, to increase human potential, and to build a better world for all of us. So I immediately aligned with her mission. And I felt extremely drawn to what she was saying about Positive Prime, as she told us how it incorporates neuroscience and positive psychology and cognitive psychology into a application that's simple to use and effective. Positive Prime creates sessions. These sessions are built from 1,000 slides that contain beautiful photographs of nature, pictures of really cute animals, happy people enjoying each other's company or doing activities that they love. So these 1,000 slides are put together in such a way that, using neuropsychology and positive psychology, these slides, these sessions have a positive effect on your biochemistry and your mindset. And that gets long-lasting results. Positive Prime provides what I call as an audio-visual immersion in positive psychology. So I want to talk a little bit about positive psychology because, as I understand it, this is the very foundation upon which Positive Prime is built. Positive psychology is basically the research and study of the well-adapted, people who are happy, successful, have a sense of well-being. That's positive psychology. Now, back in 1954, in a book called Motivation and Personality, Abraham Maslow framed what could become positive psychology. Maslow, of course, is known as a founder of humanistic psychology. So decades later, Martin Seligman came along, and he is known as the father of modern positive psychology. And in 1996, Dr. Seligman was elected to be president of the American Psychological Association. And for his theme during his one-year term as that president, he chose positive psychology. You see, Dr. Seligman was very involved in moving psychology beyond just looking at the diagnosis of illness or looking for how to create the absence of illness, to expand into studying the happy, the well-adjusted. What are their secrets? What can we learn from them? What can we share? And Dr. Seligman, during his vast research into positive psychology, created what he calls the building blocks of well-being. And he settled on 5 key areas. Now, of course, these aren't the end all to build a life of satisfaction, happiness, and well-being. However, these 5 are a great foundation to build on. So I'm going to touch on this acronym he created for these 5 building blocks, just briefly. The P of PERMA stands for positive emotion. It's quite evident that people who are happy, fulfilled, and successful are often running on positive emotion. The E is for engagement. We get a great deal of satisfaction from our engagement in family, in our community, our social clubs, perhaps our church, our school. However we engage with other human beings can definitely reinforce our sense of well-being and connection. The R of PERMA is for our relationships. And positive relationships contribute a great deal to our sense of satisfaction and well-being. And the M stands for meaning. Meaning. We all want a life that has meaning and purpose, that we believe there's a reason for all this, that this is happening for me, and there's purpose in it. And that leads to the A of the acronym of PERMA, accomplishment. Yes, I would like to look back over the course of a lifetime and say, I accomplished something meaningful. Perhaps I just want to look back at the last hour and say, I accomplished something. Accomplishment and the feeling of accomplishment is an important part of our well-being. I want to mention a couple other pioneers of positive psychology for their contributions and their outstanding research and studies. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi conducted a great deal of research into what is known as the state of flow. Now, flow is that sense when you're so absorbed in an activity or a project that you just realize that time disappears completely. The state of your mind-body connection with what is happening is so seamless. You know, people in all activities can get into a state of flow. You've heard perhaps athletes talking about being in the zone. And we're in the zone, they are in the state of flow, where the game is just happening so smoothly, so easily. They just feel absorbed as being one with the game, so to speak. So Dr. Csikszentmihalyi published a book in 2008 called Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. And this contribution is very important to positive psychology. I want to mention one of my personal favorites, Christopher Peterson, who was a professor of psychology at the University of Michigan. He also contributed regular articles. He had his own column in a magazine called Psychology Today. And he was known for his study of optimism, hope, character, and well-being. He was an in-demand speaker and very well loved in the psychological community. So positive psychology contributed greatly to an industry called self-help and self-improvement. As a matter of fact, as positive psychology grew, this industry boomed into a billion-dollar industry. And we know now that when you're teaching positive psychology, you need to have ways to research it, ways to prove that it's really having an effect on the body and the mind. You know, your body is electromagnetic and biochemical. And we have devices now that help us measure the electrical output from the brain, the frequencies you're producing. We also know how to measure our body chemistry, what kind of hormones and amino acids and neurotransmitters are prevalent. So these devices have advanced greatly over the last decade, maybe 2 decades, because in 1990, there was an invention called fMRI, functional MRI, where we could measure activity in the brain without using invasive probes. So now that we can measure electrical activity in the brain, we can actually see what areas of the brain light up given certain stimuli. So our brain, as we know, runs this magnificent body. It runs that circuitry we call the nervous system, and it controls the release of chemicals. It runs your body pharmacology. So tapping into the power of the brain is incredible knowledge. What we've discovered through biofeedback is that the brain is trainable. There are neurons making connections at light speed, and these neurons form neural pathways in the brain, and Positive Prime leverages this knowledge. A well-worn neural pathway creates all of your habits that are running below the level of your consciousness. But now with biofeedback, we were able to get scientific proof of what actually stimulates in the body the release of serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and other helpful neurotransmitters. We know which thoughts and images and what sounds can produce beneficial brain frequencies. Beneficial brain states create beneficial body chemistry. So here are a few examples that biofeedback has been able to prove. For example, nature images nurture us, yes. Nature images nurture us in that they promote health and healing and calming effects. Being in nature produces healing effects. And seeing images of nature produces healing effects. You know, recently there was a study conducted, or at least recently it was published, that people in the hospital rooms with a view out their window of nature scenes, perhaps a tree or fields or whatever is outside the hospital, when they could see nature, they healed faster than people who were in the hospital with the same treatment, same condition in rooms with no windows. So looking out onto nature promoted healing. So they decided, what if we just show people nature pictures on their computers? And there you go, same healing effects occur in the body. We also know that certain sounds have a great effect on our nervous system. The sound of birds singing is soothing to us. And there's a very good reason for that. If you think back into our early human development, when we had to go out foraging for food, as long as the birds were singing, everything was all right. But as soon as the birds stopped singing, everyone went on high alert because something significant was about to happen. Perhaps there was just a predator in the area, or the birds going silent will precede earthquakes, tsunamis, and other natural disasters. So the sound of bird songs is very soothing to us. The study showed that if you listen to bird songs for 5 to 10 minutes a day, it will have a soothing effect on your nervous system. Also, through biofeedback, we found out smiles are contagious. Now, I know that you learned as a child that yawning was contagious, and perhaps you were told, go home and just try this with your parents, and sit around and just keep yawning, and watch which one of them does it first, because that'll be the one who's actually paying the most attention to you. Smiles are contagious. And there is something called the Duchenne smile, named after the researcher who found it, discovered it. We recognize these Duchenne smiles as the most authentic reflections of true happiness and satisfaction. So when you watch a Positive Prime session during these 1,000 slides going by your vision, you'll see miles and miles of joyful smiles. And these smiles are indeed good for your nervous system, and they make a great connection. So Positive Prime put this all together for us. They put together the images, the positive affirmations, the sounds, and they put them in this audio-visual session, and all you have to do is sit and watch it. Now, let me tell you about some of the magic that goes into a Positive Prime session. Yes, I call it magic, but I know it's all based on science. The images are shuffled each time you watch a session. So even if you watch the same session back to back, you would not see the same arrangement of slides. Now, this is based in neuroscience. We know that the brain requires novelty and variety in order to create new neural pathways. It is our habitual habits and our routines that lull us into a state of sleep. So when you introduce variety, the brain is more active, more engaged. And we found this through biofeedback. Now, here's what I think is some real magic that Positive Prime gives to us. You are able to put your own photos and symbols of your own goals, your own affirmations into the sessions. And they get shuffled along with the slide deck and show up as you're sitting watching the session. And your name will occasionally flash in front of your eyes while you watch the session. This is all based in neuroscience. When you can see yourself in the images, you're more connected, you're more engaged. Your brain is actually creating functional chemistry for your body. So personalize your session. That is one of the most powerful parts of this magic I call Positive Prime. And then there's the cherry on top, which is the variable playback speeds. You can play your sessions back at normal speed and just listen and take in all of the affirmations, read them all, affirm them in your mind, and enjoy looking at the beautiful scenery, the cute animals, the people smiling. And as long as you are affirming what you're reading, perfect. However, there is a part of ourselves that sometimes resists. There is a resistance, and sometimes it's even below the conscious level, to absorbing affirmations that we don't really believe yet. So if that's happening to you, you want to play it back faster. You want to speed it up. And while you're watching it really quickly, your brain is absorbing all of it because the brain is capable of taking in much more data than the conscious mind. And what happens is what we call the critical thinking mind is not able to read the affirmations and resist them. So all this information, this positive information and the Duchenne smiles, they're all coming in without any resistance at all. I'm telling you, I believe this is an exceptional technology. What Positive Prime has put together is just not common. You don't find it out there. I'm sure others will try to copy it, but Positive Prime has put this neuroscience and positive psychology together in a way that I find magical. And yes, I'm excited about it. I want to tell everybody about the capabilities of this technology. You know that vision board that's been staring at you more often than you've been looking at it lately? Yeah. It's not providing any novelty. There's no variety for the brain. So new neural pathways are not forming. And mind movies cannot compare to Positive Prime's dynamic technology. So you think maybe I'm just all hyped up and trying to sell you on something that I believe in? Well, I'll tell you why I believe in it, because Positive Prime proves it. Positive Prime has scientific evidence that watching a session for as much as 3 minutes, so if you watch for 3 minutes, you will get as much as 8 hours benefit in your biochemistry, in your mindset. It's that powerful. And Positive Prime has recently conducted even more research at the University of Technology, Sydney, into the effectiveness of watching sessions. Now, this university is equivalent to MIT in the United States. This is not some humanities college. This is where they are investigating and researching things that can be proven. It's an engineering school like MIT. And the recent research used the most sophisticated of biofeedback devices to measure your brainwave activity, to measure your heart rate variability, measure your skin temp, and of course, even your eye gaze. Where do your eyes go while watching a session? And the evidence they're gathering is extraordinary. Once again, our leaders are not afraid to ask researchers and scientists to go through our platform and study it, find proof of our claims. And we do prove it. Our leaders aren't afraid to walk their talk. So here's why I'm all in. It's quite obvious, right? I think science is finally discovering what the mystics have known all along, that what you dwell on changes your life. What you think and how you feel changes your life. So why not have a dynamic musical vision board in which you can put your own images, your own family, friends, the symbols of your dreams and your goals. There's no end to what you can put into your session. And that is extremely powerful, that personalization. I'm all in because we have scientific proof. The claims we make about what can be achieved by watching sessions in Positive Prime has more and more evidence being accumulated all the time. And above all, it's fun. I'm into the fun. I love being able to change my mindset in an environment where I'm having fun. Yes, I'm all in. Now, I'd like to talk a little about the non-conscious mind or the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind, or as my teacher calls it, the superconscious mind. So I became a certified clinical hypnotherapist when I left my management career. And I helped folks achieve change. And I kept this practice going for 4 years. I know exactly how neural pathways are formed and how we anchor them. And these pathways show up in your habits. And I'm not just talking about the habits of how you sit, stand, walk, talk. I am talking about your habitual thoughts, your habitual feelings. These habits are nothing more than well-worn neural pathways in the brain. And there are ways to change your neural pathways. Now, hypnosis forms new neural pathways, and anchoring the new neural pathways requires repetition. So the hypnotherapist doesn't get to follow you home after your session and reinforce the repetition of your new thoughts, your new beliefs, your new habits. So we send you home with things called post-hypnotic suggestion. Because anchoring a new neural pathway requires repetition. So I discovered in my 4 years of practice that some of my clients achieve behavioral change quickly. Some of them like instantly, like, wow, I went and saw a hypnotherapist and I quit smoking. Or I saw a hypnotherapist and over the course of months, I lost 30 pounds. Yes, instant results can be achieved through hypnosis. And yet I had clients who got no results whatsoever. Hypnosis was a waste of money for them. Why? The reason is self-hypnosis. Because here's the secret. All hypnosis, all of it, is self-hypnosis. The non-conscious mind is powerful. It's the one in charge here. Your non-conscious is what's actually running the show. As much as you might like to think you can believe and consciously work your way into new habits, it is your self-hypnosis that's creating the well-worn neural pathways in the brain. Recently, I read a statistic that the non-conscious mind is 30,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind. I'm not sure how they came up with this calculation. I know that science is trying to study the powers of the mind. What my teacher tells me is that the other than conscious mind, your superconscious mind, is immeasurable in capacity. Here's what I do know for sure. Positive prime is an effective and fun way to program your other than conscious mind. It makes it so easy for you. All you need to do is sit and watch the session. The neuroscience and the positive psychology are already done for you. Just sit and watch the session. I wrote a book called Graceful Intentions for Powerful Change, and I really do believe that graceful intentions produce powerful change. And now when I talk to people about graceful intentions, I tell them about positive prime, because it is my sincere belief that positive prime helps us live the life of our dreams. So given that, I know you want to make positive prime your powerful partner too. And I will gladly receive your questions, your comments, talk to you about your thoughts on this subject. I love talking about positive prime and our power to change our lives. You can contact me through the email address that's on the screen. And you can also reach me through my website, joshuabooksbyjordan.com. I invite you to go over there, check it out, see if anything there speaks to you. It has been my honor and my pleasure to speak to you, and I hope that you have an extraordinary now. Above all, I would like to thank you most sincerely for the role that you are playing in our global transition, because I know that you are among the teachers, healers, and leaders of our transition. Shine on, and thank you so very, very much.